coming. Here I come. Here I come. Here I come. Hi, guys. I'm Linda, and this is No Frills Travel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've watched my other videos, thank you so much. And thank you all for subscribing. Obviously, that really helps out. All right, I am here today to talk to you about the icon of the seas. Oh my God. What? This ship is awesome. It is so cool. It is so cool. Okay. Let me start by saying that. All right. A little bit about me. I have cruised with Royal Caribbean for many years. I don't know how many years. I've been on a lot of their ships, a lot of their smaller ships like Serenade, Enchantment, Jewel, some of those ships. And I've been on the Oasis, the Allure of the Seas. I went on when it first came out, and it was just too many people and too crowded. The elevators were crazy and ridiculous. To be honest, I didn't enjoy it. I don't know if they've updated it or what. I don't know. But that made me feel kind of nervous about going on Icon, because this is Royal Caribbean's largest ship as of now. But I think it's the world's largest ship right now. It's humongous. It's humongous. And I can't wait. I can't wait to tell you about this ship. It's like insane. So I'll tell you what happened. We went on, and I just made a video about Apex ship by Apex, by Celebrity. So we went on that, and that port's in Port Canaveral. And just by circumstance, I ended up where I was going to meet my sister and her husband on the Icon. And they were like, I think they call them shoulder. So you do one and you do the other, but they're at different ports. So we had to leave Port Canaveral, get off that ship, get a rental car. We drove down to Miami, but I rented through Costco, the car. And so you had to drop it off at Miami Airport. So then we dropped off Miami Airport, and we have to get to Icon. Easy breezy. No problem, right? But it all just takes a little time. And then people were saying how terrible Miami is to get into. And I actually started to get worried, like, are we going to make this thing? Anywho, we did make it. I think all aboard on Icon was kind of early. Actually, I'm not sure. Okay, I take that back. It may have been 3 or something, and we were on by 2, so it all worked out fine. But my sister had been on since like 11 a.m. or something, I think, and she had really explored. But anyway, okay, so it's my husband, myself, my sister, and her husband. I am 55, and they are all much older than me. I joke. They're like 5 years older or more, around there. So, so just so you know, that's the age group. We didn't have any kids with us. We didn't have any teenagers, nothing like that. But I'll try to tell you about all that stuff, because I did check it out, because, my sister has a grandchild already. And, you're always thinking like, what would my 20-year-old sons like, and what would the grandchildren like, and would we want to do this again? So we did think it all through. But as a 55-year-old Gen Xer who has been on quite a few cruises, I'm really more of an outdoorsy, like hikey, national parks type person. But we do cruise quite often because of my husband can't like hike and stuff anymore, so it's good for him. And I enjoy them. I have fun. But I always find everything a little corny, a little cheesy. Like the entertainment, I have fun seeing it, but my favorite part about a show in a theater on a cruise ship is they're usually about 45 minutes. So before I want to pull my hair out, it's over. And I'm like, great, that was fun. But they're always a little like jazz hands, and they'll do like the Rock of Ages show, and it's like, They're singing Led Zeppelin with jazz. It's all a little cheesy. Um, and that's not to say I don't enjoy it, because I do. It's fun. I have fun. I am kind of an easy person to have fun. Is that weird? I don't know how to say that. Like, I know other people, I'll hear grumpy, and I'm not that way. I'm like, whatever. I got food in front of me. I got a show. I'm happy. Let's go. So I'm easily entertained. But that's not the case with this icon ship, and I'll tell you why. Okay. I don't even know where to begin. I have some notes over here if I'm looking over here, because there's just so many things. But first of all, okay, the food on board. I am going to tell you just about the complimentary or included food in your cruise fare. And there are things that are on every ship, like the Windjammer, which is on every Royal Caribbean. That's the buffet. And the Windjammer on the Icon has these beautiful windows that look out over the ocean. It's on one of the, upper decks. It's beautiful. And I think there were like 7,000 something people on board, plus crew, but this is just guess. And if you go when like we go, which is a little bit on the early side, we wake up a little early, we could find a window seat every time, because I like to be like as close to the water as possible all the time. You know what I mean? No problem finding that. The food was hot and good. I'm a person who usually gets watermelon, cantaloupe, pineapple, a little bit of scrambled eggs, which I mix a little bit of cream cheese and green onion into. This is my breakfast order. And then some kind of little potato. And that's basically what I have. And then I have 10 cups of coffee. So that was fully available. My husband likes to get like the omelet station. I think he gets an omelet. Usually they have probably. So here's the way the Windjammer works. There's a side here and a side here. I think they open one side and then give that like an hour or something. This is my guess at what's going on. I didn't really study it too hard. And then they open the other side, so that once this starts filling up, the other side opens. And then each side has multiple like stations for custom eggs and whatever. And sometimes you might wait a couple of minutes. I never ever do that because I don't like lines at all. I'm averse to lines. But he'll always get like a donut and a omelet. My sister loves the croissants that have chocolate. They're not a croissant. They're more round. I don't know what they're called, but they have chocolate in them. That's her favorite thing. And she was not happy with how many there were available. I don't know, on the Windjammer, but in Park Cafe, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is downstairs, they had those. Anyway, any time of day when I went there, I never had trouble finding a table. That shocked me. I was like, how is this possible? Because on other cruise ships, sometimes that was one thing with Allure I really didn't like. You had to like put your food on a dirty table to hold the table. I don't like that. That's icky. But this ship managed crowds in a way I almost like, I'm like, where are the people? Where are they? Where is it? But anyway, so that's a beautiful place to eat a meal. And the food's good. I think it's good. I'm trying to think. I it's sort of like foggy in my brain. There were plenty of good enough eats there. I found the chicken on the bone. They had like a jerk chicken. That's like my favorite thing, with a little mashed potato at lunch. Indian food's always good. Their salad bar is good. Not as good as like Celebrities salad bar, but it's good. I don't know. The only complaint I would have, I guess, at dinner time, a lot of times they didn't have roast beef. They'd have like lamb. I don't eat lamb, or maybe pork or something, but not roast beef. Sometimes I just want roast beef. Anyway, okay, so that's the Windjammer. There's also, the main dining room. We went to the main dining room at least 3 nights maybe four, I think 3 nights. And I left and said, well, it was fun eating in romper room, and then my brother-in-law, who didn't hear me say that, made some comment about like being in Sesame Street. So what we mean by this is we're 4 adults, and we change clothes between lunch and dinner, even when it's not dressy night, because we know we're going to go to the show in the casino. So, we're not fancy, but we got long pants on. But our table of 4, which was really like a 6 top, but they put 4 of us, maybe it was even an 8. So it was like too big of a table for our group, really. But we were surrounded by families with very little kids, very young kids, lots of them. And I'm not anti-kid. I'm not. But like on the dressy night, the formal night, I think night 2 was a formal night. It was a day at sea. And you're all dressed up and you're going there to the main dining room, and there were just babies crying and kids talking and screaming, and they're not doing anything wrong. They're just being themselves, and that's fine. But I wish that Royal Caribbean, on a ship like this, they have multiple dining rooms. If they just had one dining room where it was kind of 18 plus, and not because anything weird goes on, but just so that you don't have kids right in your view all the time or having to hear them scream. I know that might sound kind of petty, but I just feel like when I'm all dressed up, I want to go to a restaurant where it feels more adult. And I know you could go to like a paid restaurant, like they have all these, Chops and Giovanni's, and they have the supper club, which looks really nice and fancy. And by the way, when you're on board, they have people coming around, and they offered us the supper club for $100 a piece, which was probably a pretty good price for that, but we didn't do that, only because we had something else. But I don't know what keeps kids might go to those venues too. I don't know. But yeah, we were just so surrounded by kids that we found we were better off not going to the main dining room for that reason. The service was great. We had a server named Summit. I think so. And I actually took a picture of them, their names, but I don't remember. They were good, great. But the kids, too many little kids right around us. Like, I've already had my 3 kids, and they were a lot, and I don't want to do that. Anyway, so some nights we would go up to, I'll tell you, we met almost every night because our rooms are on different sides of the ship. So we would meet up at an area called the Overlook. And this is at the front of the ship, I believe, or the back. No, I think it's the front. But it's a big glass dome. And in this giant and multi-floor glass dome, and inside of this, there's a little bar that's super chill. So if you don't like chill, this isn't for you. But it's like jazzy. I feel like there was like ambient type music. I don't really remember. One night there was a guy playing guitar. And I don't know where he was the other nights because he was good and he disappeared. And there's a bar there that is almost always empty. There's a coffee, like you can buy coffee, or if you have a drink package, you can get coffee, and they make coffee espresso, like martinis and stuff. Oh, my stomach crawled. Sorry. It's crawling. Sorry. Hold on. Let me drink some water. Okay. And, okay, so we would meet there for happy hour. And on sail away, the very first day, we got one of the pods, and we sat up in the pod. That was really fun. You look out over Miami while you're sailing away. So do that if you're like, want a good place to just watch a ship leave. That's a nice place. But anyway, so we'd always meet there, and the bartenders are great, really nice and friendly. We'd meet there and have a drink, and then go to dinner. Well, after we decided the main dining room was maybe not as fancy as we wanted. And it's not the dining room's fault, like I said. But anyway, we ended up sometimes we'd leave there, and from that bar, you can walk up one little flight of stairs and you are at the Aquadome Market. And in the Aquadome Market, they have mac and cheese. Ugh, I don't even know why they have that. Get rid of that. They need to do something about that. It's not good mac and cheese. It's bad. They have Greek food that I liked. I had that. They have Asian, like rice or noodle bowls that were pretty good. And they come with little, egg rolls that are yummy. And then they have the crepe station, and that's delicious. So sometimes we'd go there and just get a little something to eat. On that area, I guess on the other side of the ship, but on that deck, I think it is where El Loco Fresh is, and that's the Mexican kind of themed place. And you can get like nachos or tacos or quesadillas or burritos, and you can either just grab one or tell them what you want. And then they have a salsa bar station with guacamole and sour cream and cheese and all the salsas. That was yummy. It's making, that's why my stomach's growling. But anyway, so that's a good place. So for dinner, sometimes we'd have something like that. I'm trying to think where else we went. Or to the Windjammer at dinner was nice too. We actually found that if we went to the very back of the Windjammer, so it's a little walk to the food, but we'd get a ocean view table there and there wouldn't be kids. So sometimes we did that. But then you have to go get your food, So there's that. You could also grab food at Pearl Cafe. You know what? I'll wait until I talk about the Pearl to talk about that. And then there's Park Cafe, which is in the Central Park area. We never went there. We kept saying we were going to go there, but we never ended up going there. In the mornings, that place would be crowded. Sometimes. I don't know. Where we ended up having breakfast pretty often was, and this is kind of weird, but in the Surfside neighborhood, which is the kids. They have all these neighborhoods. That's what's really cool. I'll talk about that in a second. But this is in the kids area. They have like a mini breakfast buffet there, and it's empty. Nobody's there. So a lot of times we just go there. It was quick. It was easy. The coffee is so close to me. I like to have easy access. And in fact, the guys who work there are so friendly, and they would bring me coffee every morning. They were filling it constantly. So I liked them in particular, the guys working there. So that was part of why I'm like, let's go there because they're so friendly. Anyway, so we went there most days, almost every morning, I think. And they have eggs and all the stuff that you want, cereal, toast, hash browns maybe. I don't know. They have all the basic stuff you want. Okay, so let's just talk about this ship for a minute. So it has all these neighborhoods, and I think that is why there are no crowds, because there's the top decks that are all the pools, okay? And there they have like Chill Island. I'm trying to remember the name of the kids. Maybe Chill Island is where the kids, but anyway, so they have all these water slides. Now, I think there's 6 water slides, and what I heard from people is 5 of them were not working on our particular cruise, and people were mad, but it didn't affect me. But anyway, so they have water slides. There's a putt-putt course. There are courts for playing. I think they had basketball and pickleball up there maybe. There's the Flow Rider, which was really fun. We watched when they were doing like their kids camp Flow Rider time. I don't know why we sat down and watched. And the guys working, you could tell all the kids really love those. Well, not just, it was guys and gals. They love them. And they took their time, like showing them how to do it. It was fun to watch. And then there's swimming pools. And then there's an area called, now I'm confused by the names. But anyway, I think it was the lime. I took a note here. Hold on, let me see. Was it lime and coconut? No, it was a swim up bar. What was it called? Hold on, I know I wrote it down here, I think. Swim and Tonic. Okay, so this is sort of, I don't know if it's adults only or not, but it kind of should be, I guess, because the big swim up bar in a swimming pool. And I never went to that bar, but I did get in that pool for just like 10 minutes one day. And my sister and I were in that pool, and I was thinking about, like, everybody had kind of reserved their spot on the bar, and then there are these recliners on the outside of that pool, and they'd all kind of reserved that. So we're standing in the pool, and it's sort of weird because you don't have a spot. My stomach is growling. Oh my gosh, I should have eaten. I'm sorry. And as we were in there, I said to my sister, if you have reserved your spot at the bar, and you assume people have the drink package, and that's why we're not drinking in the day. We don't have the drink package. We're not doing that. But I'm like, they must be peeing in this pool because they don't want to lose your spot, right? So I'm like, how many of these dudes are sitting here drinking beer and peeing in the pool? Like, I'm grossed out now. So that was the end of the pool. And then, like, the next day on the Facebook page, somebody said some lady threw up in the pool because she was drinking too much. I'm like, ew. How often does that happen? So anyway, the whole drinking in a pool thing, I don't know how I feel. People are like holding their chair at the swim up. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Anyway, so that's that. But then there's also another pool called, in the Hideaway area, there's a Hideaway bar and a Hideaway pool, and it's like an infinity pool, and you can stand there and it looks out over the water. We did stand there a few times. That was kind of nice. And then we tried to meet for a happy hour at the Hideaway bar, which is outside, kind of on the top of the ship. I feel my stomach's going to growl again. Hold on. But it was way too sunny and hot. And every spot that had shade was taken. And so we were like, it's just too hot. So we went back down to the Overlook, which is indoors. I like to be outside. And that would be, if I had a complaint about any of the newer ships, any of the bigger ships, it's that there isn't enough like outdoor to just look out at the ocean areas. And I know it's because people are jumping off or whatever, I guess. that's why they put all this glass up. I wish, that's what I love about the old ships, is you can go to the promenade decks on the old ships. You can walk around. You can look off and look at the fishies and the flying fish and the turtles. And on these ships, you really can't. Now, in the Royal Promenade, I think they call it, it's huge. It's huge, and it's very smart. It's a very smart feature of the ship. It's not like in most of these ships where it's a center area that's round. This thing's huge and long like this. And that's where the Pearl, it's called the Pearl, and it's a structure that's, I guess it's integral to the ship. I forget. I heard somebody say that, but it has a stairway in it. You can take beautiful photos. We saw a lot of weddings going on, or at least wedding photos. I don't know. But people in wedding clothes, trust. And at the bottom of the Pearl, I think it's back behind it, if I'm remembering correctly, is the 14. I want to say it's called the 1400 bar. Did I write that down? I think that's what it's called. Yeah, 1400 lobby bar. So there you can they have they do a drink of the day every day, and there's like an $8 margarita or something, I think. That's what we got there. But then you can walk outside of that bar, and there are seating that's outdoors. And that's kind of nice. But still, they have these glass panels that come up. But if you walk the track that's there, you can get to the back of the ship and look out and look at the water from there. But like I said, it's a little hard to get a good view of the water. But that's a nice outdoor area you can go to. Or you can walk up the steps in the Pearl, and that's where Pearl Cafe, is that what it's called? Yeah, Pearl Cafe. And that has a beautiful view. They have a Starbucks there, which I did not go to, but I think it's Starbucks. Wait, maybe that's just the coffee from the cruise ship. There's a Starbucks downstairs. Anyway, they have coffee. They have coffee you can just get complimentary, or they have coffee you can buy, like cappuccinos and whatever. But they also have complimentary food there, or included, I should say. And there are sandwiches that you can ask them to heat up. I never did that. My husband got the pulled chicken sandwich and he said that was good. But they also have cold sandwiches. So, like, I got a curry chicken salad sandwich the day we arrived because I was starving. My stomach's going to crawl again because of this. And that was yummy. And they have salads and stuff. But we didn't eat there other than that. And here's the reason. And I know this might sound like crunchy and weird and whatever, but everything there is wrapped in plastic or plastic containers. And something about all that plastic on a ship, just, I don't know. We felt kind of weird about it because you can go to other places and just take the food without the plastic. And the same thing with the Park Cafe. They have a lot of plastic wrapped and contained, which is nice if you want to grab it and go back to your room. But for just eating there, you feel like you're wasting that plastic for no reason. So that's why we didn't go there, except to get drinks. We'd go there to get like water and ice. No, I don't know if they had iced tea. I think they did. I think they had iced tea. We found unsweetened iced tea kind of hard to find on this ship. Most of them, they have lemonade and iced tea and water. This ship would have lemonade, fruit punch, stuff like that, water. But iced tea was a little hard to come by, and I love iced tea. But that's hardly a complaint. It was around. You just had to find it. Let me think about the other free food. Oh, okay. Well, I'll save that one. Okay, up on the pool deck that I was talking about earlier, there is an area called Base Camp. And they have hamburgers, hot dogs, and what I wanted was they have pretzels with a dippy dip, and I think it's a cheese dip. And hold on. So there was a line when we went there. We came back from a port, and we're like, let's just go get a burger. And so my husband and brother-in-law were waiting in line, and I was holding down the table. I don't know where my sister was. And they got hot dog. My husband got a hot dog. Brother-in-law got a hamburger. I don't remember what my sister got. And I said, get me the pretzels with the dip. But they came back and they just had pretzels, no dip. So I don't know if you have to ask for the dip and they didn't, or if they didn't give me the dip. I don't know. I can tell you the little pretzel was yummy. But I kept saying, I want to go back and get the dip. And I never made that happen. And that was like one of the times we had a little trouble finding a table. Like once I found one, I held it. But I think it was just right after port and everybody was coming back and just grabbing food. So I think that's why. But it was rare that we had to even look for a table. And even that day, it was just a matter of like, oh, there's no table. Somebody got up. I immediately took it. That was it. It was fine. My brother-in-law eats hamburgers on every ship. And he said these were not very good. In fact, I think that particular burger he didn't even eat. Like he went, no. But my husband said the hot dogs were good. Whatever. I don't know. So that was that. And then every night we would eat at Sorrento's Pizza, which is on the Royal Promenade. They make pizza until late at night. And that was our late night before bed snack every night. Never once did we have trouble finding a table. The line, even if it were like 4 deep, which wouldn't be very many, they were so fast with the pizza. It's like boom, 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 boom. No problem. I never saw a line there. I'm sure there is after certain times, but whenever we went at about 10:30 at night, no line. It would be fine. All right, so here's the real difference between this ship and any other ship I've ever been on, is that the entertainment is not cheesy at all. I don't think I saw any entertainment that I felt was cheesy. Okay, so night 1, we saw the headliner show, and he was a juggler, and he was okay, but he wasn't enough to feel like that. It's a big theater, it's grand, and he was too small. And I've seen enough jugglers on enough cruise ships. I was sort of disappointed, honestly. And we left there going, typical, typical. It was okay. It was okay. He was fine. Like, He almost would have been better if he had somebody else with him and he got those glow in the dark juggle things, because he did that at the end and that was kind of neat. But when they throw them back and forth like they do, that looks better on a big stage. He was doing impressive stuff. It was just like, okay. So I was sort of not expecting much after that. Well, before you go on this cruise, you'll get an email or a notification or something that tells you can reserve shows. As soon as I got that, I went in and reserved every show because I was like, why not? For me, and we linked our cruises so I could reserve for my sister and her husband too. So on the second night, we had reserved the Wizard of Oz show at the main theater. And we were sitting there beforehand, and my sister and I go, Wizard of Oz. Like, I've seen that movie enough. And my sister said, I don't want to hear any Wizard of Oz song ever again in my life. I'm sick of them all. I hate them. Which is harsh. And I was like, well, do we want to go? Because you don't have to go, And my husband goes, we'll just go really early so we can make sure we get a seat that is aisle. He always wants aisle anyway. He's an aisle seat guy. And then we can sneak out if we're bored. And I looked on the app and it says the production's an hour and 40 minutes. I'm like, that's long. That's a lot of sitting. And so we actually debated whether we wanted to go. Because, we're sitting here looking at a beautiful view, enjoying ourselves. Like, do we really want to go to Wizard of Oz? This is for the kids, But we decided, yeah, we'll go. And then because my husband is insistent on an aisle seat, we got there way too early. We were like, as soon as the doors opened, we walked in, which is maybe an hour before show. I don't know. Anyway, and so we got our seats, and they were good seats. We were kind of like maybe the 7th row on the aisle, in the middle aisle, right? And the thing starts, and I realized pretty quickly this is the actual Wizard of Oz movie, like word for word. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to sit through this. Like, I've seen the Wizard of Oz way too much in my life. I don't know. Okay. It was so good. They were so good. The production was so good. I'm not going to give away anything. I'm not going to tell you any of what magic they did. But first of all, just talent. Just every person playing any part was really good. The dancing was really good. The effects were phenomenal. I was like, I can't believe I'm watching The Wizard of Oz and I'm going, oh, this is so good. I surprised myself. And we walked out and we were all like, that was awesome. Like, that was so good. And I just kept thinking, if you had kids, if you had like teenage girls or boy, or if you, but also as an adult, but also I feel like my 20-year-old son, like, I think we all would love it. Like, if you told me you went to that show and you didn't like it, I'd be like, really? I don't know why, because it was good. And I kept thinking, oh, if my dad has Alzheimer's, and so he can't really cruise anymore because it's all a little too confusing, but he would have loved that show. I think anybody would have loved that show. I don't know who wouldn't. All ages. So yeah, I definitely recommend go to the Wizard of Oz. Maybe do it early in the week, so if your little kids love it, you can take them back another time. And even if you don't have a reservation, you can show up within 15 minutes of showtime, and anyone who didn't show for their reservation, they just give away their seats. So you have to be there 15 minutes early if you have a reservation. And that theater's packed. It was packed. And they do, I think, 2 shows, I don't know how many times a week, but we went to the early show, I think. I think that's right. Maybe we're at the late show. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, okay, so that was one night. And then, oh my gosh, that night, so we leave the Wizard of Oz. And when you leave the theater, you can walk straight and go right into the music hall. At the music hall, they had a show that they called 18 plus. They say that sometimes, and there'd be kids there. I don't know. But this one was 18 plus. And it was a band called Phoenix. And Phoenix is a classic rock cover band. And my husband's a musician. He plays guitar. And he knows a little something. And he's like, these guys are really good musicians. Like, these guys are top of the line musicians. Every single one of them, the drummer, the bassist, the guitarist, the lead singer, they can all sing. So they kind of take turns. And they do classic rock. We ended up going to see Phoenix, I think 3 times, maybe 4. Like, anytime we happened to be around and they were playing, we'd stop in. But we would actually go, like one night they were playing, we didn't really have anything going on, so we went and just watched their whole set. I think we saw their whole set twice. So they'll play like, all the classic rock stuff. Like, they played Journey and Styx, and I think they played some Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones. They play, but then my only complaint, well, they play Bon Jovi, which people seem to love. My only complaint was every show we saw, I think every show, they would say, oh, we're going to play a song that nobody wants, that basically we hate and we don't want to play, but people always want us to play it. And then they'd say, well, just play the first 3 notes. And it would be the 3 notes of Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield. In my lifetime, I don't ever need to hear this song again. I've heard it in the 80s so many times. I don't need to ever hear it again. And every time they play it, the crowd would go, yeah. And I'm like, really? Really? So every time I'd be like, boo. But whatever, it's all good fun. They play Jesse's Girl every time. I'm like, enough, Jesse's. Like, if you don't like it, just don't play it. But I guess people love it. I don't know why. But basically, they play Cars. They play... My only complaint is they didn't play any Ozzy Osbourne. Why not? Play some Crazy Train. Oh, they play Guns N' Roses. But every song they did, I swear it was as if the band was there. Tom Petty, the one guy could do a good Tom Petty. Every one of these guys can sing, and they sound like some band. So I looked up that group after while I was on the ship. So I was like, who are these guys? They never tell you their names in the, write-up. And I read about it, and apparently they're but they are, sessions players, I think. And they bring on different people to fill the parts. So it kind of, like, the band is always Phoenix, and they always do cover classic rock. But they have different members, but they're all, like, sessions, which means they play with sessions. Musicians can, like, play with anybody anytime. They can play anything. They're just awesome, musicians. So they kind of do that. But boy, were they good. We really enjoyed them a lot. They were fun. Okay. And then, if you go through the music hall, you're in the casino. And we spend a lot of time in the casino because we do work on points to get free cruises through casinos. So sometime I can do a video about that if you're curious. I will say this about the casino on Icon. It has smoking and non-smoking that are too close together. I wish they were further apart. Sometimes people would smoke in the non-smoking, and I hate that because I am a non-smoker. But the smoking section was so smoky. And I think part of that is because people who smoke but don't gamble just go in there and smoke. So, and they say you have to be sitting at a machine actively playing to smoke, but I don't think anyone polices that, whatever. So it is very smoky in their smoking section. And some of the machines I wanted to play were over there, and sometimes I'd go over and play, but for me, it's just so hard on my throat, and so I just can't be around it anymore at this point in my life. So I stayed in the non-smoking. But I can do a separate video on our experience in the casino. If you're curious about that, let me know in the comments and I can tell you what machines we played and stuff. But it was a nice casino overall. They have a bar, a big bar that's nice. Easy in and out of that casino. Yeah, it was good. It was nice. All right, so the other shows that I reserved, one is the Aqua Show. And the Aqua Show is up at the front where I told you that overlook with all the glasses. They have made a fully indoor aqua theater, which is interesting because on Allure of the Seas, it's outdoors. And a lot of times the shows are canceled because of wind and stuff. But I guess these, they could pretty much do anytime. And there is a high dive that is so freaking high. And when the person dives out of it, I wish I'd known it was coming because I didn't look up in time. But it's like unbelievable. So the Aqua Show has divers, it has slackliners, and then for some reason that I can't explain, they have these guys with the skateboards. But my son skates, and I've seen way better skateboarding on the local skateboard park than on this. I didn't really know what that was about. But part of the problem with that is the Aqua Theater is shaped like a horseshoe. Excuse me. And we came in kind of late, so we were over on this side of the horseshoe. You know, like if it's like this, we were over here. And the stage is here. So we're over here. And you can't see what's going on in the middle of the stage. And they have all these screens up above. I don't know why they don't put a camera on what's going on there and show it on the screen so at least the people here can see what's happening on the screen, but they don't. So that would be my recommendation to them. So like with the skateboarding, I could barely see it. So maybe there was more going on there than I could see, but I don't think so. And I don't know what that had to do with Aqua. I think it was just taking up time, I guess, while they were switching. But that Aqua Show was cool. Like, if there's a pool and all of a sudden all these people will pop out of it and you're like, where did they come from? They must have been holding their breath forever. So anyway, it was cool. That was well worth seeing. It was good. One night we reserved the comedy club and went to see that. And I was a little nervous. I see a lot of stand-up comedy in real life. And I've seen a lot of comedians on cruise ships. And usually I'm not that impressed. It's always a little awkward, especially because usually you're in the theater and it's a big venue for a comedian sometimes, and maybe people are more willing to be kind of not, I don't know. It's just usually not that great. But they've made a comedy club where they've made it kind of look like it's all brick and it's small. I don't know how many it holds, but it's not big. And every seat is different. So it kind of feels like you're in a comedy club. And they have 3 comedians. And I think maybe they each did 15-minute set, or maybe 2 did 10 and the last guy did longer. I don't know. But all 3 of them were really good. 2 of them were, I would say, excellent. The main guy was excellent. And then the other one was good. Some of the jokes that woman did were a little like, okay, I've heard that joke before. She did this whole bit. I'm sorry to call her out. She was funny. But this whole bit about how in the showers they have the nozzle that comes off and how women can use that, whatever. I'm like, how many times have we all heard this bit? Like, this bit's old. Like, I can't stand when people do bits and I'm like, yeah, I heard it. But anyway, overall, she was really funny. And the main guy he was funny. He was making fun of all the teenage kids, the boys running around on board the ship. That was funny. And all the parents in the room were cracking up laughing. So it was fun. I will say about this cruise, I think because families are on here, they're a lot more, like a lot of the older ships I go on, it's old folks. I'm the youngest. But on this ship, I was definitely part of the old crowd. Like they're much younger people. And that's fun. That's fun. Okay, so we did the comedy club. Really enjoyed that. The ice show. There is an ice rink. There is a neighborhood where we had breakfast a lot called, wait a minute. Let me get the neighborhood right. Surfside. Okay. Surfside, there's a carousel. There's food. There's a splash park for little kids. I think there's a little pool there for them, but there's also a bar for the adults. There's soft serve ice cream. There's an arcade. And I thought this was smart, actually. If you walk to the end of Surfside and go through the door, there's a sports bar called Playmakers. So if like a family wanted to watch a game, but then take turns like having the kids out on the splash, you could do that, which I thought was fun. Like, if our team was playing and we had kids, my husband and I would have definitely taken turns with that. That would be fun. So they're entertained. But anyway, so there's a sports bar, Playmakers, and they have tons of TVs. I didn't love it for this cruise because I didn't have a game to watch and there are no windows. So it just feels very interior, but they have all the IPAs and all the different kinds of beers. They might everywhere, but they definitely had them there. But then you go through there and you go downstairs, and that is where the ice rink is. And they have open skate sometimes. They put a floor over it and do laser tag, I think. And they do, what do you call those rooms where you're trying to find your way out of the room? I can't think of what they call this. But anyway, they have all that there. I didn't do any of that, but that happened there. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. So you could have your teenager there while your little's out here, while you're watching a game. I just was like, this is smart. But anyway, so we went to the ice show. And when we got there for the show, the ice was so chunked up. It was rough looking ice. And we know someone who's a figure skater, and she said she doesn't like public skating rinks because of how chunked up the ice is. So we were like, but I don't know if that was the reason or if it's just, I don't know. But they were trying to do tricks, I don't know, skating maneuvers that were pretty like, I don't know enough about skating. Double jumps and falling down quite a bit. And I don't know if it was because of the bad ice or because it's such a small rink, they can't get speed. I mean, I don't blame them. It was impressive. But the whole show was weird. It was weird. They had like a guy who comes out and he's got balls and he's not wearing skates. He's wearing sneakers. And he throws balls around. And then they brought out these metal carts with the chemistry. It was all about the elements. And they had all these elements and people are trying to skate around the metal carts. I don't know why those metal carts were on the ice. The whole thing was bizarre. And we're like sitting there going, this feels like a cruise ship show. This show feels like how usually cruise ship shows, they start doing stuff and you're like, what? What is the story of this event? I don't know. But whatever, it was fine. It was fine. I wouldn't die to see it again, but it was fine. And then at the main theater, they did like Price is Right and Love and Marriage and things like that, we stopped into Love and Marriage for a minute. My sister likes that. I don't think it's not for me. Like, I don't get it. Like, why would I want to tell a whole crowd about my sex life? I don't know. I don't get that. It's a 10 out of 10. But The Price is Right. I didn't end up seeing that, but I heard that was good. And they do, what is that other game show? The one they charge you to go to Let's Make a Deal. No. Is it Let's Make a Deal? Anyway, whatever. They do all that stuff. Okay. So as far as bars go, they have all the classic bars that are on every Royal Caribbean ship, like the Schooner Bar and the Boleros. So we intentionally didn't really go to those because we can go to those on any ship. They had dueling pianos, which when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, I definitely want to do that. So they have 2 pianos, and I guess people give them songs, and then they duel, and then you vote on which piano you like, which pianist. But I never saw, okay, this goes to another point, but I never quite knew when that was happening. Like I couldn't find that on the app. Maybe I just didn't look hard enough. But one day we were walking by and they were doing it, and they weren't that good of singers. I'm sorry. At least one of them wasn't. And we were like, oof, that doesn't sound very good. So after that, we were like, forget it. We don't really care. But maybe we just heard a bad song, but it wasn't very good. I don't know why. Anyway, that leads to something else, though. On some of the ships, like I remember on Jewel of the Seas, outside of the elevators, they had these big screens, and you could press the screen. And I don't exactly remember how it worked, but I think you pressed on I think it gave you everything going on right now. It told you everything and where it was. And then if you clicked it, it would take you to that venue. And then you could see everything that goes on at that venue that night. I feel like that's how it worked. I didn't see anything like that on this ship. And I don't know why, because that would be really helpful. Because they want you to start using the app to look stuff up. But I'm not carrying my phone around because I don't have Wi-Fi or anything. So I just put my phone in the safe. I'm living like free as a bird. I got my CPAS and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So I never know what's going on unless, somebody tells me, which usually I just let my sister leave me around when I'm with her. I'm like, where are we going? Okay. But anyway, so we didn't end up doing the dueling pianos. There was a karaoke bar. We kind of ran over there one night for 80s karaoke or something like that, but it was so jam-packed. And so we didn't end up staying, but people seemed to be having fun there. In the Royal Promenade, on the first night at like midnight, they drop all the balloons. We were tired, and we were like, oh my gosh, we're not going to make it. We're too tired. But we ended up going, and my husband and my sister's husband, they went to bed, but my sister and I were like, we're gonna stay. It was cool. It looked like New York City on New Year's Eve because everybody is there who isn't asleep. The whole thing is jam-packed with people. We went up on the second floor to kind of overlook it because those kind of crowds aren't for me. Too many. But it was really cool. They play music and then they drop all the balloons. And you'd think everybody, would go boom, boom, boom. But people were popping them. And I don't know why. Like, that was kind of obnoxious, but whatever. So that was fun. I told my sister, I hope those balloons are made out of like cornstarch. Because I hate to think all that plastic, but that's beside the point. Anyway, it was cool. And that's when you realize how many people are on board this ship. And then the rest of the cruise, you're like, where are all those people? I don't know. I'm not even going to talk to you about the ports because I'll do that in a separate video because this would go on forever. But they're sort of secondary to this ship, I think. I think in this instance, the ship is the bigger thing. So I've told you about the Aquadome. The Hideaway is the adults only swim up area up on the pool deck and bar. There's Central Park, which is like a very green space. It's interior, but it's outdoor. But you don't see the ocean. But they have walls of plants that we actually saw them working on. They're real plants. And there they have the what is it called? Lou's Jazz and Blues Bar. And when you walk through Central Park, a lot of times they pipe the music that's playing there into the whole park, which is kind of nice. We went one night late at night, like 11 o'clock at night, and watched a little bit of jazz, and they were good, but we were tired, so we had to go. But that was good. But it's a different vibe. Like, that's a very adult vibe. I would say if you got dressed up, that's where they have like some of the fancy restaurants that you pay to go to. They have like a champagne bar there. I think the jazz bar had all the different bourbons, special drinks, stuff like that. It's more upscale Central Park vibe. So we didn't hang out there very much, actually. We hardly went there. And that's where Park Cafe is, where they have a roast beef sandwich. They have breakfast, lunch. I don't know if they have dinner or not. And then there's Surfside's the kids area. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else I'm missing. The Pearl. I think I hit everything, guys. So I'll just say the difference, besides the size and the amount of venues, it just wasn't, the entertainment wasn't cheesy at all. I felt like a cover band, you might be like, ooh, they're going to be corny. But they were good. They were so good that it was, if you just walked in and had your eyes closed, you'd go, I'm pretty sure that's Foreigner playing that song. Or I'm pretty sure that's Styx or Guns N' Roses. I mean, they sounded like the bands. They were that good. And like I said, my husband's a musician, and he doesn't always like seeing bands because sometimes they're not that good. But that one he wanted to see every time, so I'll recommend that. We did go to, they have an English pub on the Royal Promenade called the Point and Feather, and that was kind of a nice meetup spot. Sometimes we'd meet there. They have darts, and you can get like a beer. Like my husband likes to get a better beer instead of a cheap beer, so whatever. But they had a guitarist singer there, and I'm just gonna tell you, he was awful. He was really bad. But we heard that he was only there for like that week, I think. But his guitar, it was so bad that we left. Like, we were like, we can't stay here. And I'm not just saying that as like a snob person. Like, he was bad. That was surprising because there's so many good musicians, like street musicians, who could handle that job. I don't know why he was there, but yeah. What else? I'm trying to think. And Boleros has music every night. I mean, there's live music in a lot of venues if you're looking for that. And Boleros would be jam-packed because there were probably as many Spanish-speaking people on this ship as English, and they have a dance floor, and they really good dancers. Like, I would be intimidated to dance on that dance floor because they knew what they were doing. But that was really fun. So one night we did sit in there and, just watch everybody dance and so that was fun. But Boleros is always one of my favorite bars on any ship, and that is why we kind of were like, well, we won't go there because we always go there on other ships. And we have all these other places to try out. But by the end of the week, I think we'd hit up most of what we'd want to do. I'd really like to try the other ship, the Star of the Seas, because they have Back to the Future as their musical, which I'd like to see. So I've been kind of keeping an eye on that. Oh, the other thing they have that we saw was Rover the dog. They have a dog on board, and he was in the Overlook when we were there, so we got to meet him. And then when we were at Perfect Day at Coco Cay, their private island, we were on the beach that's kind of off by itself. I don't remember what, Chill Beach or something. I don't remember what it's called. Not Chill Beach. It's the furthest beach out. And I looked past, I was out in the water, and I could see Rover and his trainer, and they were playing in the water, and I was like, Rover. But anyway, what else? I think that's about it. I know I'll think of stuff after. Oh, the elevators. My biggest complaint on Allure of the Seas and some of those big ships back, and I'm talking probably 10 years ago when I was on them, the elevators were terrible. There'd be a million people waiting, and then you'd scoosh, and I hate being scooshed on an elevator, like really scooshed, because I'm little, not little, but smaller than most people, and it feels really weird when you can't see anything but people's clothes. Like, I know tall people, they're better off, but when you're smaller, it's ugh. And so I remember when I got off that ship, I'm like, get me off this ship. I hate it so much. Like, it was too many people everywhere. I just don't like that kind of crowd. And I am willing to try this ship again, the Allure, because I've heard it's better now. But this ship has solved it because the Royal Promenade's huge, and when you get off from a port, you take an escalator, and it takes you onto the Royal Promenade. from there, you can go to the elevators. Here are the elevators. There, you can walk up steps. You could go up the Pearl and have lunch. You could go to Sorrento's Pizza. So it spreads that crowd out. And then when you get to the elevators, they have a main elevator thing. And you say, I want to go to floor, 15. And it says, go to elevator G. So then you look around, you go over to G. And when you get on there, it will only stop. Maybe it'll just go to your floor. Or maybe it'll stop like once along the route to pick somebody up or drop somebody off. It's amazing. It's the smartest thing ever. There is a hospital near us that actually has a system like this. And it's just so smart. Like every elevator, anywhere busy should have that. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah. So crowd control, I don't know what genius worked out the crowd control, but they got it down. I didn't experience a situation where I felt, suffocated by the crowd ever. I don't think ever, not even once on board this ship. It was unbelievable. Amazing. Really, really amazing. And I heard now they're building like 5 more of these giant ships. The problem is they can't pull into the smaller ports, but if you like ship activity, this thing's got it. So, all right, let me know in the comments if you want to hear anything else. I'll make videos about whatever. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. I have to go turn off the camera.